So this emotional vibrational chart completely changed my life when I saw this. Credit to Abraham Hicks, who came up with this concept. So money is money in energetic form are the emotions that we have around it. So, what we think, believe, and feel about money dictates our relationship with it, and in turn, either pushes it away or attracts it into our life. So, again, and I said this before, but I think this is really important to understand. Our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions are our energy, and our energy is everything because that's what is creating our physical reality. So if you look at the emotional chart there are low vibrational emotions on the bottom, right? Powerlessness, um, fear, jealousy, anger, worry, doubt, right? Overwhelm, anxiety. If you have these emotions around money, the universe is going to give you physical experiences that reflect that. And we're going to talk about how working with the universe is incredibly powerful and how this is a co creation process. Um, but basically, how this works is if you think about a projector in a movie theater and the projector is way in the back and it's shooting all of the images into the physical. So your mind is the projector. So if you have, the powerlessness, right? Like, it's not my fault I don't have money. There's inflation, there like prices are going up. I can't find a job, right? The economy is bad, right? So this is powerlessness around money. This is feeling like you don't have the power to change your life because of external circumstances. And that really is victimhood. And we're going to get more into that in a moment. But like if you have fear around money, then imagine what's being projected out into the physical, which is not having enough money, maybe losing your job, big expenses coming up when you finally do receive a bunch of money and now you're back to zero again. Money coming in, money leaving right away. So, like, all of these emotions are taking physical form and experiences. So if you have high vibrational emotions around money, which is really what we're working towards, right? We're working up this emotional vibrational scale into expectation, positive expectation that money is coming in for you, gratitude, abundance, empowerment, right? Having the power to choose the amount of money in your life versus falling victim to your external circumstances. Gratitude is one of the highest feelings that you can feel around money, and that is free. And we're going to get into that. How to tap into that feeling of gratitude around money is what's going to bring more in, for example, right? Because if you feel like you have enough, right? If your energy is in the feeling of having enough, your physical life is going to manifest enough. And I'm going to get into how that looks in the physical, right? Because I know this is really theory. It's hard to wrap your head around. I'm going to get into all of these details and make sure that you really understand this, how this actually works in your life. So the higher vibrational emotions that you embody, the more money that is going to come into your life. Isn't that beautiful? So you can manipulate the amount of money in your life by manipulating your emotions and your thoughts and your beliefs around it, regardless of whatever external circumstances going on around you. So you have 100% control and power over the amount of money in your life by working with your energy. Let's keep going. So I want to talk about linear time versus working in the quantum realm. So linear time is something that we are all familiar with. So we live in a 3D world. There is perceived time, so past, present, and future. Space and time exist, right? You get up, you eat breakfast, you go to work, you do your thing, you come home, you watch Netflix, you go to bed, right? And so that's a linear timeline. You work, 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 you go to sleep, you get up and you do it again. There's not a whole lot of change. You might save up to go on vacation, you might buy, a nice thing now and then, but you pretty much know what to expect. So this is linear time. You work until you retire, right? Most people try to make it work in the physical, only using their five senses, and this is like the physical time and space aspect of it. So this is really limiting. If you feel like you are working so hard And it doesn't matter how hard you work. And trust me, I have been there. I have been in the grind. I've been in the corporate world. I've done, the 17-hour days. And it doesn't seem like my life was changing. And I'm like, but how does that make sense? Because I'm working very hard. So why am I not making more money, right? Like, why is my bank account not stacking right now? And that is because it doesn't matter how hard you work in the physical if you are energetically the same person. If you have the same thoughts, the same beliefs, the same emotions around money, around life, if you're not evolving, it doesn't matter how hard you work, you're going to get the same results. You're going to be in the same energy patterns. So this is like the do be have principle versus the be do have principle. Be do have be versus be do have, right? So we have been programmed and conditioned. We've been told to do, go to work. You're going to have the money and then you can be happy, right? Work, do. Then you have the money, then you can retire. This is we've been very misinformed here because the truth is, if you want to have the money, if you want to have the time freedom, if you want to have the financial freedom, you have to change your state of being, right? You have to change your energy, your thoughts, beliefs, your emotions, and then take inspired action. And then you're going to have these amazing results that you've always been looking for, right? This is how we're going to bridge the gap. It's amazing that you've been working so hard, but now we're going to change, like, why haven't you had the money up until now? And all of your desires, it's in your being. So instead of working in a linear timeline, we're going to work in the quantum realm where time and space do not exist. So if you remember the last slide where we looked at the emotional chart, the emotional vibrational chart, energy works up and down, okay? Works in vibrational frequency. So instead of linear time, we're working up and down, and that's why this works, because we're working in a different way. We're working in a different direction. So in the quantum realm, anything can happen. It's literally like using your imagination to create what you want in the physical. And so working in the quantum realm is working with you with what you cannot see, which are your thoughts, beliefs, and your emotions, right? It's your energy. So everything starts in the non-physical first, and then it creates in the physical. So that is how you will start to see upward and positive change happen in your life, is by working in the quantum realm. And when working in the quantum realm, because time and space do not exist, things can happen very quickly. That is how we're manifesting $10,000 in 10 days, because we're manipulating our energy to create what we want in the physical. We don't have to go to work all day long. We don't have to bust our butts year after year after year to get, a 3% raise. This is not that. This is changing. This is the inner work, right? This is the emotional work. This is the mental work. Your energy is what is going to change your reality in easy and quick ways. So what we are doing in this course is, instead of working hard in the 3D realm, right, in the physical realm to achieve our desires, we are going to manipulate our energy to attract the desires in through the quantum field. So how are we doing this? We are doing this through a conscious manifestation process. This is my secret sauce. This is the 6-step manifestation process that I'm going to teach you next. And then we're going to do this through subconscious reprogramming, which is reprogramming your money mindset. And so that you're basically going to be on autopilot to receive all of the abundance you're looking for, right? Because once we reprogram that belief system and your energy, the money is just going to start to attract to you. So this is really exciting. You don't have to work hard for the rest of your life and maybe not even reach your desires, right? When some of us don't even reach our desires, right? All of us want, what do we want? $1 million. We want a mansion. We want a cabin in the woods. Working your entire life is not even going to guarantee that. So let's reach for our desires in the quantum realm, eliminate time and space by changing our energy. So If we want to change the amount of money in our lives, the answer is, in summary, not working harder. It's not finding another job. It's not saving more money, being frugal, or worst of all, hustling. The answer is changing our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions around money, and then your physical reality is going to change to meet these beliefs. So let's do that. I'm going to give you all the tools in order to change your energy around money and make $10,000 in 10 days. So I'm going to take you through my 6-step manifestation process. This is how to call money into your life through your conscious thoughts. And this is a very specific process that I have used for 4 years now. I started consciously manifesting money in 2019, and it is now 2024. So, like, for the first 3 years of after learning this, I didn't work. I literally just used this process to call money into my life, and it came in. And I didn't work. I lived in abundance. I was financially free. I had time freedom. And it was such a beautiful time in my life. I have evolved since then. And so my life is a little bit different now than like just calling money in through this way. But this is incredibly powerful. And I assure you that if you do this every single day, your life is going to start to shift, because I know, because I did it. So just to reiterate what we're doing with the 6-step manifestation process is we're changing our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions around money so that we're changing our inner world so our outer world can reflect differently. This is based on the universal law of attraction. And so how we are doing that, this is within the quantum realm. And again, within the quantum realm, things can happen quickly and unexpectedly. So expect the unexpected here. Inner work we're doing can create powerful change within your life. So just to be clear, manifestation is not magic, okay? Money objects don't just fall from the sky. You're not gonna wave your arms and make something appear. That's just not how this works. Manifestation also is not hard work. Okay, this doesn't have to be hard. And in fact, most of the exercises that we're going to do only take 5 to 10 minutes a day. And I'm going to have you head to your workbook after this module. Every single module has a workbook where you can put all of this into practice. So let's get started. What is the 6-step manifestation process? So in summary, these are the 6 steps. I'm going to take you through each step in more detail. I wanted to give you the summary of this first so you know what to expect. So number 1, choose your desire. $10,000, that's what we're going for, right? After you choose your desire, you're going to create an end scene. So what would it look like in your imagination if you had already received the $10,000? We're going to activate the end scene through strong emotion, right? Everything happens in the non-physical first. And we're going to just let and allow the money to come into our life. You may need to take some inspired action. You may not. I have had times where money just comes in, like I've just been able to answer the phone and I've received money. I've just opened the mailbox and received money. So sometimes you don't need to take a lot of inspired action. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And stay in gratitude. And I mentioned in the beginning, gratitude is the highest vibrational emotion you can feel around money. So we are definitely going to tap into gratitude during this process, because being grateful for money is what creates more. So this process is the same every single time you do it, whether you do it now or whether you're continuing to do it years from now. And I encourage you to memorize and practice this daily, because the more you do this, the easier it will be to call in more money on a daily basis. Start with the 10,000, right? And in the next module, we're going to actually start with 1,000, because we want to build your belief system up. Once that money comes into your life, the 10,000 is right behind it. And you can choose, like, so like the choose your desire first step, $10,000, $20,000, $100,000. So every single time you do this process, you place an order with the universe. If you choose a different amount of money, a different time, that doesn't cancel out the money that you've already activated. So if you are feeling like $10,000 might seem like a lot right now, don't worry, because you can repeat this process for any amount of money that you want to. We're going to go for the $10,000 for now. And so this only takes a few minutes a day. You guys, how exciting is that? You're going to work your entire life to try to save $10,000. We're going to do it within only a couple minutes a day. Okay, so let's get into the 6-step manifestation process. Step number 1, choose your desire. And so, as I was saying before, $10,000, right? That is our desire. Whatever you create in your imagination is possible to create in the physical. So, as I was saying, like the non-physical is really important here. Whatever happens in your imagination and your energy is possible to create in the physical. Remember, your physical life is simply a manifestation of what's going on inside of you. So if you want to choose $10,000, which is what we're focusing in on this course, but look, you, like I said, you can do this whenever you want to. You want a car, you want a house, think without limit and do this 6-step process. I want to talk about the law of relativity for a second because $10,000 might seem out of reach for you. It might not. $20,000 might seem out of reach. It might not, but I really want to put this into perspective because if you were to tell a millionaire, okay, give me $10,000, they would be like, oh yeah, that's nothing. Like, here you go, no problem. That it's really not that much money, right? But if you were to ask a homeless person off the street, give me $10,000, they would say, that's so much money. How would I ever be able to have that much money? I would never. And so it really just matters your perspective on this. If you can consider that $10,000 really isn't that much money, which it's not, it's going to be easier for you to be able to manifest this in. So your desires are yours because they are meant for you. You have already received this money. The reason why you bought into this course is because you know that it's already yours. And every time you think about this and tap into your desires in your imagination, it is more and more possible for it to come into reality. So, totally okay, normal for your desires to change. You can do this process whenever you want to. But I would encourage you when you do the 6-step process to make sure that you are very clear about what you're manifesting in, right? Make sure that you choose your single desire every single time you do this process. So the second step in the 6-step manifestation process is to create an unseen in your imagination. So what would it look like if you've already received your desire? You're probably going to see a bankroll. You could probably see $10,000 in cash. You could see a check written out to you for $10,000. You could see a suitcase full of money, right? Because the unseen is exactly what it would look, feel, believe, what it would be if you had already received the money. And that's what we're manipulating here is this universal law of attraction. If you think, believe, and feel that you've already received this $10,000, it's going to reflect that in the physical. So like I said, whatever you want to create in your imagination, if you want a new car, if you want to go on vacation, for example, you're going to imagine yourself driving in this new beautiful car. You're going to smell the leather. You're going to be walking on the beach. You're going to feel the sand in your feet. Okay. You're going to feel the money. I'm getting into the next one. So create the unseen. What will it look like in your imagination of having already received this $10,000? So step 3 is activating the unseen. I just got into a little bit in the last one. So the number one way to activate your manifestation in the non-physical, right, in the spiritual, in whatever it is you can, so you have to activate this, is through strong emotions of excitement, gratitude, and celebration that you've already received this money, because we want to be high vibrational around money. The higher vibrational frequency that you feel around money, the more money that's going to come into your life. So the way that we manipulate our physical reality is to feel this excitement in this moment of having already received this $10,000. I'm going to take you through this 6-step process within this course so you can have an idea of what this actually looks and feels like. So if you're having a hard time grasping this, don't worry, I'm going to take you through this. But the point is that you want to activate this manifestation by using your emotions, by using your emotional body. So pro tip, put on upbeat music without lyrics. This can help you get into the feelings of excitement, right? Music can really uplift us. And I'm also going to do that when I take you through this. So if you're having a hard time getting into the emotion of having already received this, try to put on some non-lyrical music, some upbeat music that's really going to get you excited when you think about this money. So the idea is to believe 1000% that you've already received this money. So it's like, I like to use this analogy where it's like, if you write with a pen that has black ink, okay, this pen has black ink. This is your belief system. This is what you know to be true, and you are not disputing that. That is exactly what's happening in your mind. You believe 1000% for it to be true that you've already received this $10,000. And the more that you tap into your 5 senses within your imagination, the more real and the easier that it will be for this money to come in for you. So feeling the touching the money, right? It might feel smooth, it might feel cold. You can smell the money, you know what that money smells like. You can fan yourself with the money, you can hear it rustling back and forth. You can see it, you can see the green on it. And really tapping into your 5 senses as you feel the excitement of this money is what's going to create this money to come into your life. This is what's going to activate the universal law of attraction, attracting what you are. It is your being. If you're being in the moment of receiving this money in your imagination, the money will come in. It will come in. This works. So activating the unseen can also look like having inner conversations about how happy you are that your manifestations are here. I'm so excited that I have now received $10,000. I just received $10,000. Thank you so much for this $10,000. I'm so grateful for this $10,000. Okay, this is all mental emotional work. You're tapping into the emotions of feeling excited about receiving this money. That is how you're going to activate this money to come into your life. Step number 4. Now, this letting and allowing the money coming into your life is, I would say, probably one of the hardest steps that people have, because they're now questioning, but how is this money going to come in? Who is going to give me this money? How is it going to show up for me? So I have really good news for you. You don't have to worry about any of that. You are going to completely give up control of the who, what, where, why, when, how is this money going to come in? Let it be. Because that is not your job. The universe is going to deliver this for you. So this is one of my favorite steps, honestly. And if you can master this step, you can master this manifestation process. Because what's happening here is that you are co-creating with the universe. And so the universe, and I like to describe it as the universe is your business partner. So you happen to be in a partnership with infinite intelligence, unconditional love, And so all you're going to do is think, believe, and feel that you've received this money. And then this infinite intelligence, this universal consciousness, this all-knowing higher power energy is going to decide how this money is going to come into your life. And if you think about it, this actually it makes sense, because if you knew how to get the $10,000, you would have already gotten it. No, we are co-creating with a higher power here. This is not about religion. I'm not talking about like God, what, like, it doesn't matter. Source, universe, love, spirit, whatever the higher power that you believe in is going to deliver this to you in your highest and best good. So your money manifestations can show up in many different ways. We would all like cold hard cash, right? But it could show up in gifts, discounts, deals, refunds, credits, debt forgiveness, checks in the mail, insurance payouts, credit score increases. Okay, the list goes on. Our conscious minds cannot fathom the way that the money is going to come into our life. So you have to trust the universe to deliver your manifestation in the highest and best way for you. This might not be cash, and that is okay. If you have $10,000 of debt relief, that's $10,000 coming into your life. So the easiest way to do this is to choose your desire, create an unseen, activate the unseen, and then just forget about it. Okay. Go about your day like nothing has happened. Forget about this money. The goal is detachment and neutrality. Because if you are in a state of lack, right? If you need the money, you doubt and you worry and you wonder where the manifestation is. It's going to block and prevent this money from coming in. And this is also where money mindset comes in, is really important. We're going to get into that next. Money mindset and manifestation go hand in hand, because if you have these like doubts and lack and scarcity around money, again, think about the universal law of attraction. So if you're in a state of lack, if you need money, the universe is going to give you things that you need money for. The universe is a yes man. It's just going to give you what you are. So if you start to doubt, worry, wonder why the manifestation isn't here yet, I want you to acknowledge that you're doubting, worrying, wondering, and redirect yourself into a positive affirmation. I trust that the universe is delivering my manifestation. So this is conscious work, right? You have to really tap into your thoughts here. You have to tap into your self-awareness when you're starting to doubt and wonder and worry. Redirect. Negative thoughts and beliefs around money and or this process will block and prevent your manifestation from coming in. You have to believe that this works. I want to just tell you a little story before we move on about the very first time I did this process. I was manifesting $2,500. And I did, the unseen, I activated it, I went on with my day. And not even 3 days later, my mom called me and she said, I was thinking you don't have to pay me back for the $2,500 that you owe me in school loans. My mind was blown. I mean, that was like the go ahead for me of like, this works. And in that case, I didn't receive money, but I received debt relief. And as I said before, like I was in a massive amount of debt. I had a huge amount of school loans. I had gotten married. I put money on my credit card. Like I had a baby, which costs money, insane. Like I had a crazy amount of expenses living paycheck to paycheck. My debt was relieved within a year after doing this. Like, ask me how I don't know. When you are in the frequency of abundance, your debt, it literally went away. And so this is really, really powerful. And again, like you don't get to decide, but that's not to say that the money is not going to come in any sort of way, right? Obviously, we want cash, but think about all of the other ways you don't have to. That's the universe's job is to deliver this to you. And I also wanted to share a story about one of my clients who was wondering, like, what if I have rent due on the first? What if I need money to pay rent? What if I need this money to pay my bills? And that is really tricky, right? Because if you're not experienced in this process, and especially if you're just beginning and you need the money for something, you have to be very careful about that, right? Because needing money is going to push it away, and that's the trap that we all get caught in, right? Is that we need this money, and then it doesn't show up for us because energetically, if you need the money, the universe is going to give you things to need money for. So I said, if you need to pay rent, if you need to pay your car note, your bills, etc., what I want you to do is believe that your rent is already paid, right? That's your end desire. That's your desire. You want to pay rent. So believe to your core that you have already received the money for rent. Your rent is already paid. So just a couple of like physical examples of how this happens and what you can do if you're feeling the need for money is believing that it's already there for you. This is free, okay? This is all free. You just need to tap into your inner world in order to take advantage of this, regardless of the external circumstance, right? Regardless of inflation, regardless of food prices increasing, regardless of the economy, regardless if you can get a job or not, it doesn't matter. This is why this is so incredibly powerful, because it doesn't matter what's going on around you. Nothing can control you if you are in control of yourself. So this is self-mastery to a certain extent, because when you can master your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, you can master your reality. It doesn't matter what's going on around you. This working in the quantum realm completely eliminates external circumstances because you're only focused on what's going on within you, and your life changes. I've been doing this work for 4 years, like I said, 5 years, consciously creating my reality. I am not affected by the politics, by the economy. None of that matters to me, because I know that I'm a conscious creator and a powerful creator, and I can choose my reality by whatever it is that I desire, co-create with the universe, believe that it's going to be delivered, and continue on with my day. This takes faith, right? This takes your inner work. This takes faith. It is incredibly rewarding when you continue to practice this manifestation process. So let's get into step 5, take inspired action. So you have now chose your desire, you've created an end scene, you've activated it through strong emotion, and you are letting and allowing it to come into your life whatever way the universe decides. You've forgotten about the money, you feel neutral about it. If you want to think about it, you think that you've already received it. You're only going to think positive thoughts. Now what? So what's going to happen is the universe is going to create a series of events that naturally unfold for you in order to meet your manifestation in the physical. So these are sort of like happenings, or what is also called a bridge of incidents, and they are like little breadcrumbs leading you to receive your manifestation. So this could be, for example, opening your mailbox to find the money. All you need to do is open the mailbox, right? You don't need to take a huge amount of inspired action on that. Other times you might feel inspired to go to a networking event where you know you're going to meet a lot of people who could work with you. Or if you are manifesting $1 million, you're probably going to create a product launch for your business, right? Or you could feel inspired to post your resume online. So you are going to do a little bit of what you feel inspired to do um, in order to receive this manifestation. And again, like sometimes you don't have to do very much at all. A lot of this is following your intuition. And this is going to come in the form of good feelings or thoughts that pop into your head. So I want to share with you a story about taking inspired action where this was about 2 years into my manifestation journey, and I had invested in a condo on a ski mountain. And the condo didn't make a whole lot of cash flow, but it was increasing in property value rapidly. And so I was renting it out for the season, right? It was a seasonal rental. And so over the summer, I was like, this mortgage sucks. Like, I didn't have the money coming in, right? That's not really a great investment necessarily if you're like paying out of pocket for the mortgage. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to manifest no mortgage. Who wants to pay mortgage, right? And so I did this 6-step manifestation process. I chose my desire of not having a mortgage because again, like you don't necessarily have to have the money to have the thing. I just wanted no mortgage. I'm not saying that I wanted $200,000 to pay off the mortgage. I'm just saying I didn't want a mortgage. So I celebrated. I celebrated for like 5 minutes of not having a mortgage in my car, super emotional, super excited. I probably cried. Like, thank you so much for not having this mortgage. I am so grateful for not having this mortgage. And maybe a couple weeks go by and I get a call about COVID relief. Yes, please. Yes, I did the COVID relief, didn't have a mortgage payment. And then maybe 6 months later, the tenant that I was renting to at the time had asked me if I was selling 2 or 3 times. Are you selling? Are you selling? I love this condo. And I wasn't planning on selling. I didn't, I wanted to hold the investment. Like I said, the property was appreciating like crazy. Um, but my intuition was saying, I think this is it. I think you should sell. I think this is a sign. And so I put the condo on the market. The lady didn't actually end up buying that specifically. I put the condo on the market. It sold off market. I like literally told my realtor, like, I want to put this on the market. He had a buyer already. And I sold the condo for $100,000 in profit. That is how my mortgage paid off. I didn't know that that's how paying off my mortgage was going to come in, but that's how the universe wanted to deliver it to me. And who am I to micromanage that process? I didn't know that like how I was going to pay off my mortgage. If I consciously knew, I would have done it. But I detached, I became neutral. I knew that this was going to come in. And that is how the universe delivered my manifestation. And I no longer had a mortgage. So this inspired action doesn't have to be hard. And in fact, it should be easy if you're aligned with your manifestation. It should feel easy and it should feel good. So follow your intuition on this. Follow the good feelings and the thoughts that come into your head, and trust yourself with this because the universe can speak to us in so many different ways. And I'm going to list out in your workbook all of the different ways that you can understand the breadcrumbs that the universe is giving you. This is really an art to be able to communicate with the universe, receive signs and synchronicities of which direction your manifestation is. I don't anticipate that this $10,000 is going to take a lot of inspired action. It's not that much money. And if you're doing this for the first time ever, it's going to come into your life pretty easily, I anticipate. So, the more money that you try to manifest, the more inspired action you're going to need to take. But let me give you a couple more examples of like what these sort of like bridge of incidences or happenings are that you would need to take inspired action on. So there have been times where, there was one time where I was driving in my car and I was thinking a thought, and then my cell phone went off and a text message said yes. I was like, okay, well, that's definitely a sign. Like these types of synchronicities, really pay attention to your thoughts when crazy things happen. So the universe was telling me, yes, that thought makes sense. Follow that thought. Um, messages can come through in the form of music. If a song comes on and the lyrics resonate with you, um, you're scrolling social media and something comes into your algorithm that really resonates with you, that could be a sign to follow that good feeling. And again, this is your intuition. Tapping intuition is so incredibly powerful. And I'm coming out with a course called Path to Purpose, which is going to teach you even more in detail about the communication and the relationship that you have with the universe and how to really tap into your intuition. This is really important if you want to continue on with this manifestation process, consciously creating a reality. But for now, this inspired action probably won't need to be too much for you. You might feel the need to go to a coffee shop and at the coffee shop, you meet your friend, and your friend is a perfect fit for the product that you're selling right now. Maybe if you're a content creator, you feel inspired to post some content around your product or service, right? And so taking a little bit of action in the physical is going to show the universe that you're serious about this, you are taking action towards this, and it gives them the go ahead to meet you halfway and deliver to you what it is as you are going in that direction. So, last but not least, step number 6, stay in gratitude. So, gratitude is a feeling. If you can just sit for a moment and think about where you feel, like when you feel thankful, where do you feel that in your body? It could be in your head, it could be in your chest, right? And our energy is our emotion, right? So if you can be in gratitude after you activate this manifestation throughout your day, at night, before you go to bed, when you wake up in the morning, the more you are grateful, the more the universe is going to give you what things to be grateful for. Do not underestimate this. Being in gratitude is the best way to create more. So even if you're not doing the 6-step manifestation process, I highly encourage you to feel grateful throughout your day as much as you can. And this is also going to come in to focus when we do the mindset work as well. So one more slide before we get into the money mindset part of this lesson is mastering your energy. And so we're talking about a manifestation. We're talking about manifesting $10,000 and creating whatever it is you want in your reality. And this is a matter of your energy, right? And so we have everyone, regardless of gender, sex, age, religion, it doesn't matter who you are. We are all built the same way energetically. Everyone has masculine energy, everyone has feminine energy. Now, our society is mostly built on masculine energy, right? It's the doing, it's the structure, it's the analytics, it's the logic, and it's action oriented, right? This is how like the 9-to-5s came into play. This is the hustle and grind culture, is sort of like toxic masculinity, which is like hustle and grind, go until you burn out. But your masculine energy is your doing energy. Okay, so your feminine energy is your being energy. And a lot of us have become disconnected from this, which is why our lives have become so imbalanced. Why you feel like you're working on a hamster wheel and nothing's coming into fruition, because we have to tap into the feminine part of our being, our intuition, being in flow, right? Slowing down, being in touch with your inner world, and being in connection with spirit, with the universe, God, source, creation, and really being able to master this co-creation process. So when you can tap into your feminine, but also it be in your doing energy, also taking the inspired action, you're going to see amazing results. The $10,000 is going to come in for you, no problem. Do this again and do it with $20,000 and focus on your feminine and your masculine energy coming into union.